Hey guys, welcome to this first niche research and site planning lesson. Before we actually open our browser and look at real life niches, I wanted to have a quick talk to tell you exactly what we're looking for here and what is a good niche essentially. So my goal with this lesson is to give you the framework and the tools that you need to make the difference between a niche that has potential and that you should probably be pursuing and one that doesn't. And sometimes it won't be the one you want, but I'd rather give you proper information and that you pick a good niche, because picking a good niche is one of the most important decisions you will make in this entire course. If you do everything else right but you pick the wrong niche, you're not gonna do well. So pay particular attention to this module. I know you guys want to get in WordPress, get to link building, get to do all of that, but niche selection is one of the things that I spend the most time on when we start a new site, and I highly recommend you do the same. So when we're going to be looking at niches today, we're not only going to be considering stage 1 authority sites, even though that's what we're building in the authority site system, but we want to help you build a site that you can take all the way to stage 3. So we're going to be thinking about all these other things, and at times I'll be like, well, this is more for stage 2. It's not going to be used in this course, but you will still want to be considering these factors. So we are going to be considering all 3 stages. However, just know that some niches, they're more adequate for stage 1 sites, that's stage 1 sites. Some are better for stage 2 sites, and they have a lot of info keywords and they're good for ads and so on. And some are just don't have a lot of offers and are more primed to become stage 3 sites quickly. So when you look at all this competition and everything we're going to be doing in this module, just consider these things and consider like which stage you feel you'd be the most comfortable with. Stage 3 is quite complex to run, but is the most profit. Stage 2 is like right in the middle, and stage 1 is fairly easy to run, and you can essentially just use the authority site system to have all the information you need. So it's really up to what you want to build in a long term. At the beginning, everything is going to start as a stage 1 site, and that's what we're building, but it's something to consider when you are getting started. So really finding a niche boils down to 3 things. And I know when people start websites, they usually start with keyword research and SEO analysis, and I think this is wrong because I don't pay my bills in rankings. I don't pay my bills in number 1 rankings. I pay my bills with money, and so that's why I think you need to start your business. You need to start with the end and think about, what can I sell? How am I going to make money? Then once you identify that, and we're going to dive deeper into that right now, then you reverse back to, is there people actually looking to buy these products I can sell to make money? And once you've identified an audience for these products, then you look at the competition and you try to see whether you have a chance of beating that competition or whether it's not really worth it. And really, this process is all about picking your battles. So you will be looking at a lot of niches, you will be looking at a lot of keywords, and you'll see some keywords with a lot of traffic, but really, realistically, within a year, you're not going to be able to compete with people who are here for like 10 years and working hard on staying there. And you're going to have to keep digging to find gems, and that's what it's all about. And that's why I want you to spend a lot of time in keyword and niche research, because picking your battles is the key to success in this process, especially early on. So now let's zoom into these 3 factors I just talked to, and let's start with the things you can sell. As I said, in stage 1 sites, you will be recommending products to make money through affiliate marketing. So you have content templates like the best X for Y's, or like, I don't know, the best fishing rod for bass fishing or something like this. You will also be reviewing individual products, and so you need to be talking about products on your site. So if you were thinking of starting a website that is promoting funny images and sharing that around, it's probably not the kind of site that would be working with the method we're talking about today. These sites do make some money through advertising. You can see this site has ads around, but they tend to be struggling. They're quite hard to it's quite hard to make them take off at the beginning, and it's going to cost you money to acquire an audience and so on. It's not really what I would recommend you go after. If you take another niche in comparison, like paintball, I'm gonna talk about this niche in this video. I quite like it because it is a niche where there is a lot of products to talk about. You can see there is the marker, which is the gun essentially, and within the gun there is the barrel, there is the actual balls that it shoots, etc. There's a lot of individual guns with different attributes, and so I could be talking about all of these. There's quite a bit of industry jargon around paintball, which means that these are a lot of keywords that which means that these are a lot of keywords that I won't be competing with the Huffington Post or something like that for, which gives me an opportunity to rank quite easily. There's also outfits, there is masks, there is terrain, equipment, there's all that stuff that I could be talking about. So it's a great niche for a stage 1 authority site. Now, just having items to buy is not the only thing to consider when you're looking at this first attribute. The second thing you need to consider is the pressure to buy, because it's nice to have items to sell, but there is varying degrees of needs that people have for these items, and usually the higher the need, the higher your conversion will be on your website. So for example, it would be nice to buy a drone right now. I could be Googling and just buying a drone, etc. But really, I need to buy the food for my dog right now. I'm running out, and so if I had a site that talks about dog food, it would probably convert at a higher rate than a site about drones, because it is a more primary need, is something I need to take care of really soon, and the pressure to buy being strong, my chances of clicking on an affiliate link and buying through that link are higher. So that's one of the reasons why Perrin did so well with hilltop.com when it was a case study for authority hacker. So what you need to think about is something called the Maslow hierarchy of needs, and essentially the closer you are to the base, which is essentially your basic needs like physiological, like health, food and sleep. In that case, dog food is definitely the base level, although it's for my dog, it's not for me. And safety and shelter, clothes, removal from danger, etc. The closer you are to the base, the more likely you are to do well. Another thing to consider as well with this is that in case of economic crisis, the sites that are closer to the base of the pyramid will tend to do better, because there are things that people can cut costs on. Whereas if you are reviewing drones, for example, well, if there is a huge economical crisis, then the sales of drones are probably going to fall a lot, but the sales of dog food will probably stay more or less the same. It would be probably cheaper food, but that's about it. Now, having products to promote is a great thing, but having products to promote that actually pay you well is what you need for these kind of sites. So it's not about just having products, it's about having products that have good payouts. So if the items you review in your best explorer and your single product reviews don't pay you well, then the niche that you're looking at is not a good niche. It's not something you should be going after. So I know a lot of you guys will be using Amazon. We will be using it in the case study site for this course. You need to look at the affiliate commissions and essentially identify the first few affiliate programs that you are going to be using in your niche before you say this is the niche I'm going for. So for example, in the case of Amazon, if you were considering doing a site about video games, it's a terrible idea. They only pay 1% commission. So if you compare it to, for example, musical instruments is at 6%. So you need to make 6 times more sales in video games to make the same money as a musical instrument site. So to put it clearly, the musical instrument site will need to make 6 times less sales than the video game site to put the exact same amount of money in your pocket. So you need to be looking at the payouts for Amazon, and we'll be linking to the page that has the live rates, because they could change. We are recording at this time. These are the rates at the time at which I'm recording, but these rates are subject to change. So we'll be putting a link below so you can click and go check it out. The second attribute to consider is people looking to buy the products you can promote, because if you have products that you can promote and pay you well, but nobody's looking to buy them, especially through search, because that's what we're going to use as a vehicle of traffic to our site, then it's not going to work out. And one of the first things to consider is the overall audience size of the niche you're looking at and the evolution of that audience size. So I went on Google Trends, which you can use for free on google.com/trends. And usually what I do to evaluate the size of a niche is I just put the biggest term of the niche, which is usually the name of the niche itself. So in that case, I've put paintball because I quite like this niche. I've put CrossFit and I've put vegan. I think these are 3 interesting niches if you're considering starting a stage 1 site. And the numbers you see are essentially the search volumes for that term that you put plotted on a scale of 1 to 100. So the numbers on their own, they're not worth much. They're only interesting in comparison. So for example, between 25 and 50, the keyword that would be at 50 when the other's at 25 would mean that it has twice more search volume. But what's interesting with Google Trends is that you can see the evolution over time of these niches, and what we can see is, well, yeah, paintball is definitely the smallest one and has always been, but at some point the vegan niche and the paintball niche were basically as big as each other, and CrossFit was dominant. However, with time, well, paintball has been decreasing a bit, but it's fairly stable. But CrossFit has been a lot less popular than it used to be. It's almost half as popular as it used to be in 2013, whereas the vegan niche has been surging. It's basically 3 times bigger now. So when you're considering niches, going on Google Trends and putting several keywords that are related to your niche and looking at the evolution over the past 5 years, you can see I've put the filters on top, is a really good idea. So if you are, intending to work on your site for several years, you want to find a niche that is stable or growing. It doesn't mean that you can't make a CrossFit site and make a bunch of money. I think you can. But it means that, the long-term perspective of this site is not super great, even though I believe it's probably going to be stabilizing in the case of CrossFit. So you need to use your judgment for these things. And to use a real-life example, I was actually considering making a site about polo because it fits all the boxes so far. I mean, there is a lot of equipment and there is offers that I can sell for. I mean, I went on Amazon really. I didn't really try very hard, but I could see that a polo mallet sells for $180, which is kind of the sweet spot for the kind of products you want to sell. But when I actually looked at the size of the audience looking to buy polo mallets, there's basically nobody. Nobody buys online. I believe people probably buy from their clubs or something. And it's not a good niche just because the niche looks so small. But usually the way I decide whether a niche is good or not is I compare it to another niche. So I brought back my paintball niche and I wanted to compare it with polo, right? So I just took the best paintball gun and just compare it. And you can see here we have 6,000 searches per month for best paintball gun. A lot of people are looking to buy, and that by comparison shows me how bad polo is as a niche. So another debate that people have in terms of audience is, should you go for a narrow niche or should you go for a wide niche? And an example of that would be, should you do a powerlifting website or should you do a generic fitness site? Should you do a Yorkie site or should you do a site about old dogs in general? Well, really both can work with this system, but there are pros and cons for each. The pros for narrow sites is you will get faster results and you will tend to do quite well for your niche with a lot less links than wider sites. It's great for sites that you want to set and forget, that generate passive income and you don't have to work on them a lot. I mean, that golf site that I mentioned earlier, we haven't touched it for a while and it still generates money every month. Overall, I think it's easier to build a narrow site and get success. So if you are a beginner, if you've never built sites, if you are doubting your capabilities of working a lot on your site, narrow niches are probably better. Another cool thing is that they're easy to resell because, well, they tend to not be worth more than a couple of $100,000, which is already really nice. But because they're not very expensive businesses, that you can sell a site like this in 30 days without any problem with a broker. The cons of narrow niches is that they have a lower ceiling. So once you're ranking for your keywords, like the good ones, and there may be like 100 good keywords, it's kind of hard to progress and make more money. There will be more keywords, but they will just not be as good, and the opportunity cost will be higher. You'll spend more time on lower return, and eventually you'll probably just decide to start more sites. And so that means that you end up juggling with sites, and it's something that can be splitting your focus and can be difficult. And overall, because the focus of these sites is more narrow, so let's say a Yorkie site versus a dog site, link building is going to be more challenging. On the other hand, you also need less links, so it's kind of a balance here. But it's more for people who want to be solopreneurs, manage a portfolio, or build a lifestyle business, like something that makes $10,000 per month and then just take it easy. Narrow niches are probably what I would recommend. On the other hand, wide niches, the pros are, well, link building is pretty easy. I mean, with Health Ambition, we can find any link-worthy topic in health and write about it and get links. That's what allows us to have thousands and thousands of links and keep building at a really fast pace because you can cover more topics, essentially. There's a lot of monetization opportunities. So once again, on Health Ambition, we cover things like acne, we could cover things like supplements and so on. And if you were doing narrow niches, these would definitely require different sites. So we can kind of, piggyback ride our domain authority and jump into niches a little bit faster. However, because we are a more generic site, we tend to need more links to rank. The pros as well is that they have huge exits. I mean, if we were selling Health Ambition, it would be a healthy seven-figure number at this point, because you have all these monetization opportunities, and if you make it work, it can be a fairly sizable amount of money per month from your site. The cons is it takes a while. Usually your first year is not that glorious. It gets better over time, but it takes a bunch of work. There's a lot of competition. I mean, the sites we compete with in health have tens of thousands of links, sometimes hundreds of thousands. And so, yeah, it's going to take a while, but it's basically bigger risk, bigger reward for wider niches. So, figure out which one you're more interested in. Do you want to make it big and go bold? Or do you want to go narrow and, take less risks, maybe manage more of a portfolio of stage 1 sites, for example, Finally, when we talk about our audience, the last thing I would like you to consider is seasonality. Think about ice cream. The sales really spike in the summer when it's really hot, and then when it gets cold, the sales fall completely and completely crash. Essentially, it's a 4 months business. Well, it does happen in several niches actually, and that needs to be accounted for. And a niche with high seasonality doesn't mean that you shouldn't go after it, but you need to account for it. And you need to account that it can happen that during the high season your rankings are not super good, and that could hurt your revenue a lot. So usually it's better to have stable niches, but high seasonality niches can still work for you. So I also went to Google Trends and pulled an example just to show you. There is the dog niche and there is the golf niche, and you can see that the dog niche is fairly stable. There's a mini spike around Christmas, I guess, when people buy puppies for their family. And the golf niche is hugely seasonal. When the weather is not good, people don't play golf. When the weather is good, people play golf. And we have a golf site, and it's still doing well, except that there is spikes and valleys quite a bit in revenue and in traffic. We just got to accept it. And you got to take the risk that if your rankings are not doing so well in the high season, then your yearly revenue is going to be much lower. So something to consider, right? Finally, the third thing we're looking for is low competition. And trust me, you want to see some competition in the niches you're looking for. Just you want to see low competition. If there is no competition, I mean, most people thought of most niches already. Most niches that are not brand new, they've been thought about, and someone thought about building a website in there. The question is, can you beat these people? And if there is no site in the niche you're thinking of, then you're probably not in the right place. You're probably not in a place where you can actually make money. What you want is you want to see competition, but you want to see competition that's easy to beat. So I went back to my paintball example. I quite like it. And I put my best paintball guns in Google, and I saw that the number one is planetpaintball.com, which is a very specialized, narrow niche site. And this is a good keyword, so it was quite interesting to zoom in. And that is what the site looks like. It is a great example of a site that ranks number one for a really good keyword. At the time at which I'm recording this video, it could be changing. And it's definitely not a site that is unbeatable. It's a very low authority site, and at the same time, it's something that you're going to learn how to do a better site with this course. Like, you can build something that's better than this. You usually look for sites that are not really well updated as well. In this case, it was updated in 2018, so it's kind of okay. But really, it's something that I believe we could beat easily if we decided to go for this niche at the end of this module. And when I look at the SEO metrics, I'm looking at the DR domain rating, which is essentially a number. Ahrefs, which is the tool we're going to be using in this module, gives you to give you an idea of how authoritative the website is. And in this case, DR5 is very low. Anything below 10 is quite low. Even below 15 really is low. And I also look at the referring domains, in this case 89. With the tactics we show you in this course, you'll be able to build 89 linking root domains in maybe 2 months, 3 months, something like this. So really not something that you can compete with. And they rank for really good keywords. They're definitely making money. So that's what I'm looking for when I'm looking at beatable competition. There is entire videos where we're going to be doing this a lot more. I just wanted to show you what this is going to be looking like. Now, I know you want real life examples, so I'm going to get there in a second, but first of all, I want to tell you about 3 types of niches that always work well, pretty much always. Not every time, but very often. If you get in these 3 categories, you'll get a winner. And these 3 categories are passions, problems, and lifestyle. So let me give you examples of each, right? So passion niches would be, well, paintball, we've just talked about it. Horseback riding is a good one. You can sell saddles, you can sell, horse equipment and so on. Fishing is a great niche. Gardening is a great niche. Barbecue is a great niche. Cooking is a great niche, quite competitive, but if you go for a narrow niche within cooking, that can be quite good. Ice hockey, a lot of equipment as well. Quite seasonal though, but hey, it's not so bad. Photography can be a good one. Probably you should go for a sub-niche here because it's quite competitive. Drones, still a good one. Cycling is also a good one. Rock climbing is a good one. CrossFit, well, it is going down a bit, but I believe you can make money from that. Home brewing also is a good one. So any kind of like sports, passion, hobby works quite well for that. Lifestyle is also working quite well. So aside about parenting, pregnancy, that kind of stuff. Veganism, we saw is growing a lot. Pet ownership, so that can be cats, dogs, lizards, whatever you want. The fashionista lifestyle can work quite well. Home ownership and talking about home improvement and that kind of stuff, you can recommend a lot of products. The outdoors lifestyle and anything that is a sub-niche of that can work quite well. Single dad lifestyle as well, that could work quite well. And finally, problems work also quite well. So things like how to deal with wrinkles, for example, or how to stop smoking, how to live with diabetes, or how to lose weight. I mean, obviously, probably a sub-niche of weight loss because it's quite competitive. So these are examples of niches that work quite well. So I hope this lesson was useful. In the next lesson, we'll talk about building an initial list of potential niches for your site. And I'm going to be opening my browser and actually doing it for the case study site. And then in the lessons after that, we'll look at shortlisting them and doing the advanced market research stuff that I briefly mentioned in this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.